Well, hello there, everybody. We Paddy across the shuck, and this is all my traditionals. I started about a year ago. I decided I wanted to try and start collecting traditionals, and I was kindly given a couple to get me started. I'm not going to go through names now because I've too many knives out there. But I I have gradually warmed into, and it's not been something that I got my first one and I fell in love and that was it. I liked them, but it's over this last 3, 4 months, I've had this real urge, and it's probably since I got my grill knife that I wanted another wee avenue. I've got a drawers full of knives that are between 7.5 and 8.5 inches. I've drawers full of them, and there's lovely shapes, sizes there, but I just fancied something a bit smaller, and I'd seen it. You go on YouTube and you see an awful lot of traditionals. Some people, that's all they do is traditional knives, and I can understand why now. We never really had a whole lot of knives growing up here. I grew up during the Troubles. Said all this before, so I'm going to try to condense this down a wee bit. So, knives was never a big thing of my childhood. It was only as I got older, went to work, started fishing, doing things like that, that I got knives. So, recently I've got into the traditional and I love them. And I love the fact that there's so many, and you can start this, right, is the wee buck. Well, it's a copy, all made in the same place. The buck knives are made in exactly the same as a buck knife, except it's 440C. Maybe the buck ones are 440C, I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if this is, to be honest. But it's a lovely wee traditional knife, and it's a great way to get started and have a look. And then you go on to something like the Rough Riders. And people sort of look down their nose at Rough Riders. Let me tell you, this is a big trapper, a full-size trapper. Look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? Look at the spine of that. How beautiful is that? And this is not an expensive knife, but by goodness, I'm telling you, that'll cut the hand clean off you. And it's surgical steel or whatever they use. Black cherry bone. Absolutely stunning. Half stop full knife. This is it's an A.G. Russell. Look at that. Look at the thickness of that. Full flat ground blade. And this is in 8CR13, which is absolutely great steel for a pocket knife. Then one of my favourites is the Case Mini Trapper. Again, this is surgical steel. Sharp as you like. Doesn't last a long time, but as sharp as you like. And this is this is the one that sort of started this is lovely. I don't know whether it's Coca-Cola wood. It's a Boker. It's absolutely, I just love the shape of the blade. It's a little small knife, and it's 440C as well. All Bokers are. So I had these and I really, really enjoyed them. And then I was also, I happened to be given a traditional knife, a traditional slip joint. I'll just get these over here out of the way. And this is the knife I was given. And it came in this lovely slip, which pleased me. Never had a slip before. Come out of there. Oh, there we go. And this is another Boker. And this is a housing, and it was a limited run Boker. Not a very big run, but there's a story with it. I have the video up on my channel. Go and have a look at it. Beautiful G10 scales. Just a wonderful knife. Full 4 fingers. Absolutely beautiful. Will do a day's work. But this is like a Sunday carry knife. This is an absolute beautiful knife. Really well made. Proud carry. The knife we're going to talk about today is this one. And this is from Collector Knives. And a good friend of mine, love them knives. I sent him over the one he got it for me, sent it over to me, and I thank him very much for that. This is top of the class for modern traditional. Not all traditional, for modern traditional. I had my older traditional ones there, and I'm actually I have a GEC on the way, so I wanted to get this video done in about a week and I'll have my GEC, but I wanted to get this video out of the way so that I could bring the GEC and place it against this as a sort of a battle for the knives. What's this? This is the Lionsteel dom. Sheepsfoot dom. And look at that blade. Isn't that beautiful? But look at that. Them three letters there. M390 on a slip joint. Did you ever? M390. Beautiful slip joint. Beautiful walk and talk. Absolutely stunning. Now, this cost me, my wife, I'll have to say, a lot of money. This is about $130 odd, and then $10 for the case or whatever. That's an awful lot of money for me. And I didn't buy it for the M390, if truth be told. I bought it for the knife. I loved the look of the knife itself. And I got the carbon because I didn't want this to make believe it was a traditional knife. I wanted this to be a modern traditional knife with modern materials. They do bone, they done stag, they done a whole lot of wood. But for me, I just got the carbon fibre because I wanted that. I didn't want it to mimic something else. I wanted to stand on its own two legs as a modern traditional. And it does that in spades. It is just so lovely. You can take the top scales off, but firstly, you can't take it all apart as you can, as you can with the Benchmade slip joint. You can take it completely apart. You can't with this. You can just take them scales off. But it means you can swap them out, and people have already started making scales for it. Now, how does it work? It works wonderfully. With that blade and that straight edge, it is the most wonderful cutter. It came with about a 20-degree edge on it. I've taken it down to 17. To be honest with you, Pete over at Cedric and Ada could tell you this can take 12 and still work really well. But 17 is good enough for me. I did have a bit of a problem at the tip here. It was a bit fatter. It just wasn't. If I bring that up, you can see just that wee bit there. It's a wee bit fatter on that side than it is. This one's perfect, but that was there. It took me a while to get that. That's as good as I could get it, to be honest, which is fine. You know, it's lovely. It's not something you would really notice until you sharpened it. There was another little problem, was one of the scales was about 2 millimeters higher than the other. And with my OCD and stroking, it done my bap in. So the good part about this was I was able to take the scale off, get some wet and dry, got 3 different grades from rough to smooth, sat and just gently done it, offered it up all the time until I got it sitting perfect as it is now. And that it's now the most strokeable knife in my collection. That sounds terrible. But it is. I mean, it really is beautiful. It's just everything, about all the aesthetics about it. It's not like normal knives, normal traditional knives, where everything's squared off and butts up and has to be equal. All this is rounded off scales, chamfered all the way round, rounded off bolsters. What the joins here are rounded off either side, so there is a gap, if you can see, on both sides. It's not meant to be flat and smooth. Now I can rub that, I can feel nothing as I'm going across it, which is just beautiful. But I know there's a lot of people wouldn't have done that and would have had to send it back. And especially coming from Northern Ireland, if I had been one of them people, I'd have been a bit cheesed off, to be honest, because it would have took a right while to send it back, get another one, and get sorted out. But anyway, the good thing is I was able to fix it, and it wasn't a hard fix. And it doesn't take away, it hasn't in any shape or form taken away how much I love this knife. And I'm going to let you see, I've got a wee bit of a comparison now. Thankfully, my friend over at Blade Banter sent me $1 bill. Now, I asked him, and he was very kind. And it was only afterwards I thought, there you are, asking a stranger in America to to send you over money to the UK. And this community just gets me. When that becomes a normal thing, it gets me. So that's it against the dollar bill. And then our smallest bill over in the UK is a £5, and that's it against the £5. I haven't got a euro yet. My son is going on holiday at the end of the week, so I'm going to get him to bring me the €5 back, and we'll be able to put them together. I'm not sure if they're the same size as our £5, but it gives you a rough idea. Now, the length of the knife is for about 6.5. The blade length itself is 3 inches, and the cutting is just under 2 3/4, I should say, just under it. Let me see what thickness the spine of the knife is. It is about 2.5 millimeters, just under an eighth. And across the back of her, she seems quite broad, to be honest with you. She's just under half an inch, about 12 millimeters. So that's fair enough. I mean, that's a good, it gives you plenty of grip. And I've never felt short of grip. Now, if you had big, long fingers, well, that's always the same with big, long fingers. Things never fit right, do they? Well, so they tell me. I've never had them. But if you're afflicted with them, you have my prayers. Now, let's measure this for you before I start talking. I'll twaddle. Grams. Before I start. It's 60 grams. And that is in ounces, 2.1 ounce. So it's a lovely, lovely weight to lie in your pocket. And the wee sheath weighs nothing. So this is what I will sit and do at night time. I would sit with this, especially when the wife's in the room and I can't open it and play with the walk and talk. But then when she goes out of the room, I get the knife going and I start with the walk and talk. That is it's about a 6, I would say. And I'm only learning what these are. And so this is more on what other people have said than but I'm starting to know what a 6 feels like. Beautiful. Beautiful. It has met all my expectations. Like I said, I didn't need 390, but it is a modern traditional. Modern steel is M390. So I now have it, and the comparison is complete. I can compare this against any of the old traditionals that I'm hoping to collect this year. And that is I've got the GEC 78 Tribute coming this about a week's time, and I want to compare these two when I get them. So I wanted to get this video out first to let you see it. If you haven't got one, do I recommend it? Definitely, 100%. It is a high-class modern traditional. Quite expensive for a little traditional knife. It's about $130 plus $10 for your slip. So, I mean, it is quite expensive, but with M390, it kind of covers that cost. Even though I wouldn't have needed it, you could have took $50 off and give me 440C. I'd have been quite happy, but I've got it. It's there. And this is a one-off buy. I'll not buy another Lionsteel one like this because I've no need to. That's it bought. That's it bought. And I have my other traditional. Now, whether I'll buy any other slip joints that are coming, a lot of these bigger companies now are falling in that people want them, and they're making modern slip joints. Some of them are absolutely beautiful looking, but I think they're taking the modern to too modern for me, for what I want, to be honest. So I'm going to concentrate now on getting different models of GEC and things like that that are good quality knives that I can use, and I want them all to be users. This is a user. I've had this in my pocket, I don't know, nearly every day. It goes in my pocket for some amount of time. This goes in my pocket. I love it. And I make no excuses for doing that. I'll use all my knives. including the GEC that's coming. It'll probably get used constantly for about 2 weeks, so I can get a comparative. What difference does it make having the steel? What difference does it make with the modern material, as in drying and putting away? So I'm really looking forward to it. Highly recommend it if you haven't. I know it is very, very dear, but if there's any way you can save up a wee bit and it's what you want, go ahead and get it. Look, I'll be honest, it's not going to do much more than this Rough Rider large trapper. It's not. It's probably not going to, well, it'll cut maybe. No, I think this will actually, it's a thinner, it probably cut, this will cut through paper and things probably easier than that because it's a thicker blade steel. It just won't last as long and you'll have to sharpen this. So I'm under no illusions. This Rough Rider is a well made knife. Again, you can sit, it's a smooth bone. I love stroking it, same as I do with the case and the other knives there. I love having them in my hand. Um, so, really, really happy with it. Really looking forward to more. Really looking forward to this branch out into the more traditional because there's such lovely stories behind a lot of the knives, and that's what I like. So there we go, folks. My Lionsteel M390 traditional modern knife. I love it. I recommend it. I know it's out of a lot of people's price bracket. I'm sorry about that. But for me, my wife bought it and I am over the moon with it. Thank you very much for watching. All the very best. Cup of tea's over to the right. Here. I'm just about to go and have it. Take care, folks. Bye bye.